This is Leisha Holmes, and I'm your host on the Recruiters Recruitment podcast brought to you by Hoxo Media. And I'm absolutely thrilled to welcome to our channel today. This is Tom Keighley, and he's the Director of Hiring Hub. Welcome to you today, Tom. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Nice to be here. Watched a few shows. Yeah, I'm quite excited to get going, really, yeah.
We could have actually met up locally because it turned out when we were chatting off camera that we're about 20 minutes away from each other. You're in a beautiful village called Worley. If you've never been and you're based in the Northwest, you absolutely have to go.
Yeah, we've got a nice abbey, and it is, yeah, it's a nice part of the world.
It's a very nice coffee shop culture up there as well, isn't it? It's a very, very nice day out.
And a few wine bars as well, if you're into that.
Yeah, I'm a teetotaler, so I tend to focus on the coffee rather than the wine. But thank you so much for joining us today. So for those who are not yet familiar with Hiring Hub, would you like to give us an overview of what the business actually does?
Yeah, it can be sometimes, I guess, misconstrued. So I'm going to keep it as simple as possible. So we're really a marketplace for recruitment. So we're an investment-backed tech company, and it's like a SaaS platform. So you log in online, you can use it on the internet, and you then log into the application. And what we do is we match employers and recruiters together. So it's a bit like Rightmove in some aspects, a bit like TripAdvisor, that sort of style. But yeah, that's kind of what we do as a business.
Yeah, so you're definitely shaking things up. And I was actually that was going to be one of my first things I was going to say to you. It's a little bit like a TripAdvisor. So why do you think recruitment needed this to happen?
I don't think it needed it. And I saw I remember in the past, I think I used the word disrupt the industry once. And I thought, actually, it's not the right terminology, that, because we're not here to disrupt the industry. We're here to help the industry and grow the industry. And I think what I'm trying to do now is let people kind of think about it like a bit like how Rightmove kind of came to the forefront in property. So like they started in about 2000. And for the first few years, estate agents didn't buy into it at all. And they would, the salespeople from Rightmove, you can read about it, would knock on the estate agents back in those days in 2000. You'd be door knocking rather than doing stuff through Zoom like we are today. And they'd be on there and estate agents didn't buy into it at all. Why would we want to go on the marketplace? Why would we want to do that? And as time went on, I think by about 2004, people started buying into it because they realized that they were there to help and not actually there to basically create relationships for property companies and estate agents rather than being somebody who's going to sell instead of them. And that's literally what we're here to do. I don't recruit, none of my team recruit. All we do is try and just get people to help, get agencies jobs and then let them do the thing and do the great stuff that they do.
And I think, I'm going to throw another company name in here, actually, not on the high street. Again, that's another online marketplace. Holly's the most incredible entrepreneur. And I listened to a recent podcast that she did actually with Stephen Bartlett. And she talked about the fact that, she wasn't here to replace the high street. What she was here to do was offer an alternative to the consumer. So I think what you're surmising there is that you're not here to replace recruiters. What you're here to do is actually make it a place to go, a destination for recruiters to go. And if you're a job seeker, to actually go and have a look. And, I'm going to show my age here because I actually remember when Rightmove started. I was actually working for a company. I ran the Manchester office for Fee Farah Jones, which is now Aspire Group. And I remember my colleague Alex G actually working. I remember him saying, "I've got a new client, they're called Rightmove," and I was like, "Right." And he explained the concept, and I was like, "That'll never work." Yeah. It was just mind blowing. But actually, if you have bought a house in the last 20 years, the chances are you've probably been on Rightmove.
You can't do it anymore. You cannot buy one without it, and that's the thing. I think for me now as an employer, if you've got the choice to be able to say, right, actually, I've got this job, I'm going to post it, and I can go and find 4 or 5 recruitment agencies that can work on it. Yeah. If we can bring those people together, we make the whole process easier.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, one of the things that's really come out of the last 18 months since COVID began is the element of community. And I think that's another thing that an online marketplace can achieve. So what are you doing from that perspective?
Yeah, so we've got like a recruiter of the month that we run where we talk about sort of who's done great work in the community. I think this is the next stage of what we're trying to do. So I guess as a business like ours, you go through like investment phases. So you get your investment and then you try and do X amount with it. And then you get to needing to get to this certain point and then you open up another door of investment. And that's kind of where we're at the moment. We're looking to get, and then the next phase, what we're looking to do is bring in a lot of AI and machine learning into the platform. which I can kind of talk about later, you know, around trends and things like that, around what's happening in the industry. But, you know, we want to get to a phase where we can start giving sort of intelligence to recruiters in the community. So like, you know, what fees should you be expecting? How long should it take to fill a role based on, hopefully at that time, you know, the thousands and thousands of jobs that are going through our platform.
No, I mean, we can talk about that now, because I think that's something that a lot of business leaders, who's our audience, you know, they're probably spending an awful amount of money actually trying to find that information out. You know, there are obviously various platforms where you can do that independently, but what you're allowing them to actually achieve is almost in one place. They can actually go and put
life in it.
Yeah.
Total real life. So it's like, you know, when people go on our platform day in, day out and use our platform, you know, we are collecting data all the time. And, you know, we've got an amazing CTO, you know, our CTO, Anna Dick, she actually, I'm going to shout her out here. She's actually just been made an ED of technician.
Wow.
So, you know, so she's a really respected person, and she's worked on the Money Supermarket application. So she's kind of really developing our app, our platform now to be able to start collecting loads of data. So, you know, we are doing well at the moment. We're getting quite a lot of placements through the platform. You know, hundreds of jobs are going on there every month. So we're collecting all this really good data information. And then also we've started collecting the diversity data. So it's a key thing moving forward for organizations around, you know, women in tech, for example, and, you know, the different people companies hire, you know, bias in the hiring process. And so what we're doing is being able to actually collect all this data in one place and then feed it back to companies in a way that they can interpret it, and then basically help them, you know, change the process to improve things.
We'll definitely come back to that diversity and inclusion, because that's obviously something I'm very passionate about. So I'm going to be a bit contrary here. So why would people want to come onto a marketplace like this as opposed to putting all their efforts into, for example, LinkedIn, doing it independently?
So I mean, I think for us, we are kind of, you know, we've got a niche thing here. You know, we've got something where we are filling jobs in 20 days. So that's 55% faster than the national average. So straight away, organisations wanting to work with us, because marketplaces do work. You know, I look at last night. I actually follow Scotland at football. Some of my family is Scottish, so I follow Scotland football. Last night, went on Booking.com to book my hotel. You know, I didn't go on each individual website to book the hotel. You know, so, and that's all what we're doing. So if you're an employee, you can say, right, I've got this. You know, I've got an IT manager role. You know, as an IT director, and this is the salary. This is what I want, and this is a fee I want to pay. You put it on the marketplace, and then agencies can then go and say, right, I'll either work for that fee or I won't. And they've got a choice to either work it or not. So it's speeding up that process of no terms of business, no T's and C's to sign, which can sometimes take 2 or 3 weeks. And then you as a recruiter could have an amazing candidate, and they've gone because that 2 or 3 week time to get stuff signed is gone. So it just speeds up the whole process and makes it easier for everyone. And then from there, you know, the recruiters can then go, right, yeah, great, we can move on it straight away because I'm happy with the terms of business, happy with what they're asking for. And then, they get the chance to work on it. You know, the employer will kind of pick free agencies usually on the platform. So we won't kind of, I think some people get the preconceived idea is it's going to be like, want to race to the bottom. Like everyone will be like, bang, 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 the fees will want to be like, it's not that. We say to every employer, got to have 15% fee as a minimum. That's the fee we have to work on the platform. And then we only let 3, maximum 5 agencies on each role, because if they don't, then like you said, you know, one, it's going to be race to the bottom. 2, what's the point in working it and not going and focusing on something that you could win yourself?
Absolutely. And that actually, it's a really important point to make, particularly in things like STEM. It's so candidate short. So that's where the candidate is still going to be king. And I guess that's where a recruiter listening to this might be thinking, well, you know, what would the advantage be to me to have access to those clients when I could probably pitch that candidate out to, you know, 3 of my existing clients? I guess it's just, you know, like you say, working as a collaboration. You know, that very often you might be working in a particular market and you haven't got an opportunity to fill that job, so you can then, you know, pass it on to other people.
It's access to it. I think it's access to some of the roles as well. You know, we're really lucky to work with some fantastic employers. You know, some of the companies on the web, like SSE, companies like that. You know, Deliveroo, we've worked with in the past. Some major UK organisations, and you know, the people we love to work with are kind of the niche boutique specialist recruitment agencies. You know, we're there to kind of democratize the industry in some sense, in that, you know, in that space where, you know, you've got your Michael Pages and companies like that, and we're not against them. You know, I actually was speaking to somebody at Michael Pages the other day about the industry and stuff and how we could maybe work with them together so that they could put their jobs on our platform that they couldn't fill because, we're just trying to help everyone, and that's the thing. So, but what we're trying to do is help these smaller agencies. So as a smaller agency, sometimes it is difficult to get in with these big companies. I know I worked at Pertemps when I was really, really young, my first proper sales job. And I remember I had an advantage because I worked for an agency which had 100 offices. So I was always going to have more of a chance than somebody in a small sort of specialist boutique. So we're just trying to level the playing field a bit and giving them a chance to work with these companies, because On the Beach is a great example, the tech company for holidays. So one of our great customers, and they started off with a PSL, and now their PSL is actually a 50-50 split between the agencies that they brought on at the beginning and 50% of our marketplace agencies.
Wow.
So they got the opportunity, and then they've actually now made them into the PSL. So it's now like an even split, which shows that the marketplace works.
Yeah, no, it really does. I think there's no question about it. Well, I promise that we'll bring this back into the conversation, because obviously diversity and inclusion is no longer a tick box exercise. Being inclusive is something that we should all be doing. So how will Hiring Hub and communities allow this to become, data that we can share and make it real, so that it's, companies understand what they're actually doing to ensure that they're bringing the best talent in through diversity? Yeah.
Well, I think when I kind of heard about Hiring Hub before I actually joined the business, I knew that I'd done lots of research. I'm a big reader of McKinsey. So McKinsey were talking about how like 60% of organizations actually, it's the key priority this year to look at diversity and try and solve the challenges they've got with including, having a diverse workforce. And for me, our platform is the only way to actually do that with your third-party recruitment. So there's no, companies have ATSs, which, once people get in the system and get through the flow, they can track. But we are the only way at the moment, really, to actually track it before it gets to that stage. So the hiring managers, when they're getting the candidates from recruiters and they're seeing those candidates, there's no way of checking, if they've got any unconscious bias. And sometimes the hiring managers, it's not that, they're purposely doing it. They just may have some unconscious bias. And through our system, we can track that to see if there is any unconscious bias. And then we can find ways to obviously train out the people and work with the organisation. So we've got some partners who work with us who will then go in and support the company. So, we kind of, it's a massive, massive thing, and I think it can be sometimes a bit of a trend for businesses, but we don't see it as that. We see it as we are actually trying to really support, women in tech is a massive one. I think On the Beach have worked really closely with us with our portal offering, which is portal offering is all about basically, getting your diversity data, getting more insights into your recruitment, not just diversity, but, how much are you spending, agency spend, where are you spending it, time to hire, all that sort of stuff we collate for them. And then we're making them make smarter decision making. But basically, On the Beach, you've been able to hire more women into the tech team because of they've been tracking it, and they've been seeing that, have they been getting the right candidates? And then they actually have a league table On the Beach of who sends the most diverse candidates. So then they know who to work with if they want that. So, that sort of stuff is what companies need, because they need to know where the candidates are coming from and who's actually looking at that as an agency.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you, and I absolutely love that example. That's brilliant. As you're doing so much to elevate the industry. That's the most important thing, and measuring things that are actually meaningful as opposed to just pure cold data, which ultimately I know recruitment leaders are interested in. But it's about understanding this isn't just about what's trendy at the moment. It's creating a much better industry for everybody. So I think it's remarkable. Well, thank you so much for sharing your insights with us. What does the future hold for Hiring Hub then in terms of growth? Because I know you're very UK focused at the moment. Have you got any big plans for 2022 and beyond?
Well, if you look to sort of the USA, there's a company called Bounty Jobs who do something very similar to us. And the UK is usually about 3 years behind. And Bounty Jobs just got £30 million investment off the bat to go and build something. So, hopefully we can replicate what they do. They work with about 50% of the largest 250 businesses in the USA. So, it's a model of that that's working really well. We've just won some major clients in Europe who are going to really change it's great news, and they're going to change the kind of demographic in our business and how we can do things and some of the investment we can do. We're doing great work on the platform, and I think one of the exciting things is at the moment when you're an employer, you have to actually have access to a login and things to actually see all the recruiters. You have to actually put a job on. What we're looking to do with sort of hopefully sometime next year is actually make it front facing. So it's a place where, like on TripAdvisor, you go and you would click on it and see all the agencies on the front end of the website. We're looking to get that to next year. So it will be a place where you as a recruiter can say, look at me, I've got a 9.9 hiring up score. I get interviews in 3 days and I get placements in 19 days. And it's a way you can have your badge and say, look at how well I'm doing. So yeah, that's something that we're looking for in, next year. And then, yeah, just keep growing the business, get more great agencies and yeah, keep going and hopefully keep changing the industry in a positive way.
Yeah, well, I hope so. What a lovely way to end the episode. And thank you. That sounds very exciting. We've got a global audience, so I'm hoping that by sharing this today, you'll get people that are certainly in America. We've got about 25% of our listeners over there, and Europe is definitely a target market for us. So good luck with that. And thank you for joining us today, Tom.
No, thank you very much for having me. And yeah, best of luck. And yeah, nice to see you all. Thanks very much.
Yeah.